Hey grade sevens, happy Friday. I hope you guys are looking forward to the weekends, especially with the nice weather that we've been having. You get to relax a little bit and enjoy, especially since we're in that final countdown to the end of the year. For today's review, I'm just gonna pull up the worksheet that we were working on Wednesday. And then today what we're going to be doing is actually doing a few more word problems with algebra and just writing expressions, except this time you don't actually have to answer the expressions, you just have to know what kind of operation you need to do. So let's start off with our review. So right here is our sheet. We need to figure out which equation best illustrates the equation and then what the value of it is. So number one, there are 12 golf balls in a bucket. There are X white golf balls and 5 orange ones. Which equation illustrates this situation? So we have 12 in a bucket, so we know our final answer has to be 12. We don't know how many white ones there are, but we do know there's 5 orange ones. So the two numbers that stick out are 12 and 5, because those are the only two numbers that we know. So 12 has to be our total. So right off the bat, this one, or this one has to be our final equation. There are 5 golf balls in the bucket. So right off the bat, I know it has to be 5 of them. All of them have a 5. How do I figure out which one best illustrates the situation? Well, I know the white golf balls plus the orange ones equals 12. Because it doesn't say that there's 5 times as many golf balls or that there are 5 less that many golf balls in the bucket. So it can't be multiplication because it doesn't say that there's 5 times more. It just says that there's 12 in total, there's X white and 5 orange. So I know that X plus 5 must equal 12. So it has to be this problem right here because I know that my total has to equal 12. There's 5 orange ones plus the number of white ones is equal to 12. How many white golf balls are there? Well, we take our 12. So we have X plus 5 equals 12. In order to figure it out, I take this 5, I'm going to move it over here, so my X will be on its own. So I have X, and then we have 12. But remember, with our addition problems, if I bring it over here, it becomes the opposite, which is subtraction. And that becomes 12 minus 5. So X is equal to 12 minus 5, therefore X is equal to 7. So therefore, there are 7 white golf balls in the bucket. Let's do one more problem. Number 4. You have X golf tees in your bag. Your sister has 4 times as many golf tees as you do. Your sister has 36 tees. So, right off the bat, I know my answer has to be 36 because that's the final amount. I know it has to be a multiplication question because it says my sister has 4 times as many tees as I do. So if I have X and she has 4 times as many, therefore it should be X times 4 or 4X. So the only problem I have that the final answer equals 36 is 1, 2, and 3. However, these two right here are both division questions. Would that work in this case? No, because for one, X divided by 4 cannot equal 36 because it says my sister has more tees than I do. If it was this problem here, that means I have more golf tees than she would, so it can't work. This one here, 4 divided by X equals 36. Well, why won't that work? Well, for one, 4 divided by what equals 36? Can you think of a number? No, because there is no number that 4 can divide by to equal 36. Unless it was a decimal. And there's just no way it would be a decimal number because I can't have part of a golf tee. So the only the only equation that makes sense is 4x equals 36. So that's my final number is 4x, or that's my final equation, 4x equals 36. We have to figure out the value of x. To do so, remember if it's a multiplication question, to separate the 4 and the x from each other, as I leave my x by itself, I take my 4 and I put it over here, except instead of multiplication, it becomes division. So I take 36 and I divide it by 4. Because 36 divided by 4 is equal to 9. X equals 9. So if I have 9 golf tees and my sister has 36, does she in fact have 4 times as many tees that I do? Well, if I have 9 tees and she has 4 times as many, I do 9 times 4. 9 times 4 equals 36. So, yep, it is correct. All right, now we are dealing with word problems once again. So this time we are writing algebraic expressions, except this time we won't be able to solve them because our unknowns will remain unknown. We just have to know what the correct operation is to write them. So I'm going to just close this, and here is a sample of the sheet that you're going to be getting. So let's look at our example. Write an expression using a variable to represent each situation. So it's going to tell you what letter to use for the most part, or sometimes it won't, so you have to choose a letter that you will use as your variable. But you have to be able to read the question to figure out what the equation will be. So for example, you have 3 times as much money as Maria. So the key wording there is 3 times. So 3 times, 3 times. This is right off the bat going to be a multiplication problem. So I know that. I have 3 times as much money as Maria. So I have 3 times the amount of money that Maria has. Do I know how much money Maria has? No. So that's why I would use a variable in place. So I could do 3 times m, because whatever number that m is, if that number is 5, I have 3 times as much as 5. If that number is 7, I have 3 times as much as 7. If that number is 102, I have 3 times as much as 102. So to create this problem is 3 times m, or just 3m, because we know that this is a multiplication problem. All right, let's look at another example. So I'm just going to quickly erase this, and we'll be able to look at another example. So this is similar to the other worksheet you were doing a few days ago, except this time we have multiplication and division problems. All right. A player scored 5 more points than Roger. Player scored 5 more points. So I have 5 more points. I know that that number is more, tells me something. That number cannot be a subtraction or a division, because if I have 5 more, division makes the number smaller and so does subtraction. So I can't use those. What would I use then? Multiplication or addition? 5 more points. The big difference between this problem and our first one is that that one said 3 times as many. So right off the bat, times means times tables. So I know it's multiplication. This one just says I have 5 more points. So if Roger has 25 points, then you have 5 more. It can't be multiplication, because then that would be 5 times as many. It wouldn't make any sense. So it has to be 5 more. So it would be 5 plus. It has to be an addition problem. What letter could I use for the variable? I could just use P for points. So the number of points that player scored 5 more points than Roger. So P is the number of points that Roger has, and then plus 5 signifies the amount of points that the player has. Because let's say Roger got 10 points, the player has 10 plus 5 because he has 5 more points than what that 5 is, or than what that 10 is. If Roger has 15 points, that player has 5 more points, meaning he has 20 points. So in this case, it's just P plus 5. All right, we're going to do one more before I send you guys off. And remember, you don't have to actually solve these because there's just no way of solving them. All right, you have $20, but spent D dollars on ice cream. So I had $20, and I spent so much money on ice cream. What would that be? So I spent money, meaning I had $20, but I spent part of it on ice cream. So does that mean I have more money or less money than I started out with? Less, because I spent some of that money on ice cream. So I know it has to be either subtraction or division. I spent money. Does that mean it could be a division problem? Because I had $20 and I divided it and I spent it on ice cream. Would that make any sense? No, because I'm not dividing that number 20 equally amongst different groups. Maybe if I had $20 and I was generous to my friends and divided it amongst 5 friends, how much money would each friend get? Then that would be a division problem. But this time I just had $20 and I spent some money on ice cream. So that means I spent some, which means it would be a subtraction. So I have 20 subtracting, and what letter do I use? D. In this case, it tells me what letter I should use, which is D. Because if I had $20 and I spent $5 on ice cream, that would be 20 minus 5. If I spent $7 on ice cream, it would be 20 minus 7. If I spent $11 on ice cream, it would be 20 minus 11. So that D can represent any kind of number. We're concentrating on what kind of equation it is. So in this case, it's a subtraction. All right, so that's what you're going to be doing today. So the key words that you have to remember is spent is usually a subtraction. Times means multiplication. More means addition. Division could be number 3. Your teacher split C pieces of candy among 23 students. Split is a huge number is a huge word that can be used for division. All right, so you have to read the questions carefully in order to figure out what the correct operation is. So you're usually going to have a number and a variable, and you just have to figure out the operation, and if it tells you to choose a variable, you just choose a number or just choose a letter that would make sense. All right. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, be sure to email me. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. We're in the final countdown of the school year, so keep going, guys. You guys are doing absolutely amazing. Thank you for just the amazing hard work that I've been getting. I really appreciate it. I know it's tough doing everything from home and just not being in that same environment of the classroom and doing work, but you guys are just doing such amazing work, so keep it up, and I will see you guys on Monday.